Hey everybody, this is Miss Colt just saying hello. Thinking of all you guys. I am hoping if I can figure out how to do it, I'm not a big techie, I'll be able to do some things that maybe you could follow along on video for art. They are not for you to feel stressed about. They're just for fun, to get your mind off things. I encourage you to, if it's safe and you can, to go outside and just observe the sky, look at the trees, notice some details, break up your day with different activities, maybe do a puzzle if you have one, play some cards if you have a deck of cards. Of course, read, draw, create. We're gonna get through this. We're all gonna be okay. But I miss you, and I hope I can figure this all out and we can do something together online. Okay, bye. Okay, so this is what I wanted to do together, is we actually are going to work on this very simple one together. You're going to notice that I did this on lined paper, which is fine. And then you just need a regular pencil. You could use mechanical pencil. I find mechanical pencil hard to shade, but that is totally up to you. And then this is it on a piece of white paper, and I've added some words. But again, we're going to start with this really simple ribbon. If we can get this one, then we can do a new video and practice the harder, kind of longer ribbon. Okay, so you'll notice on this one I'm on lined paper, which is just fine. We're going to practice doing a simple ribbon and then do a little shading. I put words on this one, but that's up to you. And you'll see I shaded a little less on this one than I did on this one. This one I did a lot of shading, got it a darker. This one I did a lighter amount of shading. Before we get started, a couple things I want you to notice. Number one, when I draw, I'm going to be trying to keep my paper as not moving as much as possible. And normally I would be moving my paper all the time because there are certain angles that are easier for me to artistically control. And you can do a drawing upside down if you need to. Nobody knows how you're holding the paper when you're drawing. But for the sake of when I start doing the video, I'm going to be trying to keep my paper pretty still. The next thing I want you to notice is that this top line and the bottom line, they're kind of parallel. That means I try to make the line the same quality on the top as it is on the bottom. So it's the same distance. When I say parallel, right here should be the same distance, over here the same distance, over here the same distance. And that takes practice. So this is the kind of thing that if you do it, you might need to do it 3 times before you get it right. And little things like adding little rips or tears in your ribbon or something you do at the very end and maybe after you've practiced a little while. Okay, so here we go. Bear with me because I'm just learning this, so hopefully each time we'll get a little better. But just using a number 2 pencil, I am going to make a sort of a wave, but I'm going to curl it around and then come up and make a soft wave. Okay, now it's always good, I always talk about this, to draw as lightly as you can, and then if you like your line, you darken it. I might darken mine a little bit because I want you to be able to see it, but you wouldn't have to do this right now. You could wait until we get a little further along. So now we have to figure out, this is the top edge of the ribbon, and we have to figure out how thick we want our ribbon, and it's totally up to you. But once you figure out the thickness, we want to keep it the same distance here as up here, as over here, you know, and over here. We want all the same thickness. So the hardest part about this is finding the end of the curve, which is right here. You really want to make sure you don't do it in here because then it will be off. You want to go, the ribbon would start right here. And don't make a perfectly straight line because ribbon is fabric. And so you're better off making a soft line. So I'm going to make a line, and I made it kind of dramatically a bump, but anyway, that's fine. And then then at the bottom, I'm going to try to follow this curve as exactly as I can. So it curves down, then it starts curving up, and then it goes there. And then this is where my ribbon would end. And I'm just going to make a straight line, but pretty soft, because I might change the end. Some people like to make it kind of like it's been cut with a scissor, like that. Now this is the tricky part, because when I come down to make this the same width as this right here, I probably would stop right here, but my ribbon is not see-through. So I'm going to come down like this and stop. But if you could see through my ribbon, it would go something like this. And then I would be following the curve up here. But since you can't see through my ribbon, I'm going to erase that. So basically I have my piece of ribbon. So now it's all about shading. So I'm going to make a dot where this loops around. Right here is going to be the darkest area of my ribbon, because it usually casts a shadow where it loops behind. So when first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a small line of, oops, I'm sorry, this thing is moving a little bit. A small line of white at the top. It's just a nice way to make the ribbon stand out a little bit. It's like the edge. So when I'm shading, it's going to be darkest in this little corner. And you'll see I'm doing like little circles, but I'm going to leave a small area of white only at this top part. I'm going to come all the way down to the edge here, and I'm not leaving an edge of white there. And I'm going to get it pretty dark in here, and then I'm going to start softening my touch and letting it get lighter and lighter. And this takes practice. You know, I did it twice. You saw my 2 attempts. They looked very different. Maybe one you like a little better than the other. I don't know. I kind of liked it, the lighter version, but anyway. And sometimes you have to go back over, and you're trying to make this so gradual that you don't even notice that it's slowly getting lighter. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of a shadow here on this side, but I'm going to leave that little ledge of white at the top, but I'm going to be a lot lighter. It's going to be more like this shade. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to do it a lot lighter because there wouldn't be a shadow being cast, and I'm leaving that little edge of white. I could make it a little skinnier if I wanted. And then I'm going to try and have this fade to lighter. It's going to go much faster because I started with such a light touch. And when I get to the end, if I want to, I could smudge a little bit. Don't rub too hard because it becomes a problem if you want to erase anything. Now I feel like this corner is kind of goofy, so I'm going to actually change that angle a little bit and have it curve. You might hear my dog barking in the background. That's because he's outside and wants to come in. Okay, and so now there we go. And I'm going to get a little bit darker right where this little crease is. I think there might be a little shadow there. Okay, and now the last sort of thing to do is if you wanted to add any little tears, what I do is take my, eraser. I erase a little spot. I erase a little spot. Maybe I'm going to make some tears on the end. And then I just make kind of like a little jagged line. And there's a little rip. And then here I might make it slightly different. And I would probably do a little more shading. Since this zips back, it might have a little shadow right here. So I'm going to do a little shading in this area. I'm going to try to leave that little lip, I almost forgot, of white at the top. So I don't want to shade all the way to the top. This time I'm doing more lines. There's tons of ways to shade, so you just have to practice this idea of a harder touch and a lighter touch. Whether you like the technique of really being able to see the pencil marks or you want the pencil marks to disappear, you know, and it's not a right way or a wrong way. It's just sort of your style. And I was going to make a little cut right here. Now I'm going to darken my lines a little bit because I feel like I'm closer to having everything the way I want. noticing my poor camera's bouncing around. I hope you're not all getting seasick. I'm going to come up here and darken. This is not required. I'm just doing it because I want my lines to be a little bolder and short and sort of clear. And I might do a little shading down here. And then, of course, if you wanted to write something, you could write something in here. You could practice your cursive. You could just do bold letters. You could do initials. You could, love you, whatever you want. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.